Have you ever felt like you're loving someone with your whole heart, but still waiting for the moment they'll leave? Like you're building something beautiful, yet quietly holding your breath, preparing for it to shatter? And if the danger isn't in the relationship, but in what it's waking up inside you. Sometimes the past doesn't stay in the past. It moves in with you, sleeps beside you, speaks through you. This is beneath the cortex. And these are 9 ways trauma shows up in your relationships, whether you realize it or not. When people hear trauma, they imagine a single catastrophic event. But trauma isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet neglect. A childhood spent walking on eggshells. Years of being loved conditionally. The truth is, unresolved trauma doesn't go away. Even in moments where you've done nothing wrong, the first words out of your mouth are, "I'm sorry." You might not do it consciously, but you pick fights, pull away, or withdraw emotionally just to see how your partner will react. Calm people bore you. Drama feels like love. This is especially common in survivors of inconsistent caregiving, where love came in waves of hot and cold. Your heart beats faster, and you go silent. Not out of disinterest, but survival. This is the freeze response, one of the trauma brain's oldest defense mechanisms. You have to give a 10-minute explanation to justify it. Even when things are going well, you keep waiting for the shift, the moment the mask drops, the day they decide you're too much. It's not that you want it to happen, it's that you're re-preparing for it. Because abandonment left a scar on your nervous system, and now it whispers in your ear whenever someone gets too close. It's to recognize when trauma is steering the wheel and gently take it back. To say this reaction is old, this moment is new. And to practice showing up anyway. You might sabotage the relationship, keep your distance, or never fully open up. It means learning how to love without making your pain the main character. Love that is honest. Love that is calm. Love that finally feels safe. Because if they never see all of you, they can't reject all of you. This isn't about pessimism. It's about protection. But the walls you build to keep pain out also keep intimacy from getting in. Not because you owe it, but because you're afraid of being misunderstood, rejected, or abandoned. This is rooted in fawn trauma, the behavioral tendency to appease perceived threats through compliance. They're the parts of you that learned how to survive. But survival isn't the same as connection. You must begin to separate your past from your present. This starts with awareness, naming the moments when fear is speaking louder than reality. When your partner is offering calm, but your nervous system is craving chaos. When your instinct is to flee or fawn instead of speak. As children, many trauma survivors learned that disagreeing, setting boundaries, or disappointing others came with consequences. Safety is built through consistency, boundaries, and truth. Start with small moments. Express a need. Say no without explanation. Sit with discomfort without abandoning yourself. These are acts of emotional reparenting, giving yourself the stable care you never received. So they became excellent at avoiding disapproval by over-explaining, people-pleasing, and performing. In relationships, this means your needs feel like burdens. Your no has to be wrapped in a bow. But love that requires justification isn't love. It's fear in disguise. If you grew up in an environment where conflict meant danger, yelling, blame, or even violence, then shutting down became your body's way of staying safe. In adult relationships, this looks like emotional withdrawal. You avoid hard conversations, minimize your own feelings, or agree just to end the discussion. But unspoken doesn't mean resolved, it means repressed. And repression has a habit of surfacing when you least expect it. Your nervous system adapted to the instability by associating highs and lows with connection. And still, there's a part of you that quietly doubts it all. Trauma teaches us not to trust, not just others, but ourselves. If your early experiences involved rejection, neglect, or emotional manipulation, you may have internalized the belief that something about you is unworthy. So when love shows up, it feels foreign, like a mask someone will eventually rip off. No matter how healthy the relationship, you keep searching for proof that their love is temporary. In doing so, you often miss the proof that it's not. So when you find someone stable, supportive, and emotionally regulated, your body doesn't interpret it as love. It interprets it as unfamiliar, and unfamiliar feels unsafe. So you chase the roller coaster instead of the rock, but intensity isn't intimacy. It's a nervous system still searching for familiarity even when it's painful. Because in your past, people said I love you one day and disappeared the next. So now, love feels like a risk you need to measure constantly. You manufacture emotional distance so you can avoid being caught off guard. Ironically, this self-protection pushes away the very closeness you crave. One study published in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology found that individuals with unresolved attachment trauma are more likely to unconsciously sabotage closeness through distancing behaviors. You're not trying to ruin connection, you're trying to brace for its loss, not because you believe you caused harm, but because you've learned that being wrong keeps you safe. You might have been raised in an environment where mistakes led to withdrawal, rage, or abandonment. Not because you're kind, but because their sadness makes your body tense, your heart race, and your mind spiral. You might have grown up in a home where emotional volatility was common and unpredictable. So you became hypervigilant, learning to read the emotional temperature of a room before stepping into it. In adulthood, this becomes codependency masked as care. You overextend, over-apologize, and overfunction just to maintain emotional stability. But no matter how much you pour in, it never feels like enough. Because what you're really trying to calm is your own nervous system, not just theirs. So you trained yourself to preempt conflict by owning it all, even when it hurts. In relationships, this turns into emotional self-erasure. You stop advocating for your needs, your voice fades, and resentment quietly builds beneath the surface. You're not being humble, you're surviving. And somewhere along the line, love began to feel like keeping the peace, even if it cost you your peace. It adapts. It replays. And more often than not, it waits until you're close to someone to show itself. Most people think they're struggling with their partner, but often they're wrestling with ghosts. Trauma reshapes the nervous system. It rewires your sense of safety, your expectations, your emotional tolerance. If you grew up without stability, your brain may confuse chaos for connection. If you were punished for having needs, asking for help might feel like betrayal. This is not weakness. It's adaptation. According to Dr. Bessel van der Kolk, author of The Body Keeps the Score, trauma isn't just a memory. It's a physical imprint that shapes how we live, react, and relate. Left unacknowledged, it bleeds into everything, especially love. You apologize when nothing's your fault. You test people to see if they'll stay. You confuse intensity with intimacy. If someone doesn't make your heart race with anxiety, it feels like they don't care. You feel responsible for other people's emotions. Your partner is upset, and your first instinct is to fix it. You shut down when conflict arises. The moment tension builds, your mind goes blank. You struggle to believe you're lovable. Your partner can compliment you, reassure you, praise you, over-explain everything. You can't just say no. You expect people to leave. So how do you stop trauma from writing your love story? First, you learn to notice the pattern. Not judge it, not shame it, just notice. Your triggers aren't flaws, they're signals. Second, build safety. Not just with your partner, but with yourself. Third, seek repair over perfection. In trauma-informed relationships, the goal isn't to avoid all conflict. Lastly, remember that healing doesn't mean erasing what happened. Your trauma is not your fault, but your healing is your responsibility. Some wounds don't bleed, they echo. But even echoes can be quieted with truth. Protect your energy. Stay curious. Subscribe for more from Beneath the Cortex.